Veterans News, a production of the United Veterans Organization of Nassau County. My name is Ed Allman. I'd like to thank Altice USA for providing the training for our crew and for the use of their studio facilities here in Hauppauge. The show is broadcast on public access channels at a time we hope is convenient for you. You can also catch Veterans News on YouTube. Just go to Veterans News UVO. I'd like to say hello to our viewers in both Nassau County and Suffolk County. I also like to thank Sabrina Lacey, the commander of the Suffolk County VFW and our co-host. Welcome, Sabrina.
Thank you, Ed.
I'd like to thank our crew on camera 1, Jim Hessler. On camera 3, Loretta DeBrino. Our video director is Beverly Allman. Our director is Bob Lane. And our floor manager is Pat Golino. By the way, if you would like to ask me a question, make a comment, or if you would like to become a member of our crew, we really would like you to join as a member of our TV crew. Just email me, please, at veteransnewsuvo@gmail.com. That's veteransnewsuvo@gmail.com. Our guests today, we have two of them. Howard Kalachman, did I say the last name right?
You killed it, but Howard Kalachman.
Kalachman.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard your name pronounced correctly.
Neither
Howard
have I.
Kalachman, the mentor of the Veterans Court in Nassau County, and Frank Diversa. I screwed that name up too, didn't I?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Diversa.
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 Yes, sir.
Okay. Frank and Howard, I'll call you by your first names throughout the
Works
show.
better.
Frank, you're the head of the Suffolk County Veterans Court.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll ask our guests some questions that I hope you'd like to know the answers to, and I hope our camera crew also comes up with some questions. We'll talk to our guest in a few minutes, but first let's remember some of the veterans who died recently. Vincent Albanese of Manhasset, as a young adult enlisted in World War II as a Navy veteran. John Pasquarelli of West Hempstead, a U.S. Navy veteran of World War II, of the Korean War, of the Cuban Missile Crisis, and the Vietnam War. Robert Millais of Mount Sinai, retired Master Sergeant from the U.S. Marine Corps. Ray Dean, a World War II Navy veteran who was also a member of the Marine Corps Band. Leonard Cohen Carlin from Setauket, a member who served in the China-Burma-India campaign during World War II, but he served as a volunteer. Bob Christman of New Hyde Park, an Army veteran of the Korean War. Thomas V. Vioda of Douglaston was a World War II Marine who served with Colonel Joe Force of the Flying Circus and Pappy Boyington, if you remember the Black Sheep Squadron from television a few years ago. William Torrens was a Navy veteran of World War II, and Andrew Michalowski, a Marine Corps veteran from Farmingdale. Joseph Bondi of Malvern, an Army veteran of World War II who served in the Philippines. George Burmeister of Smithtown was a proud Army veteran of World War II. Thomas Ryan of Levittown was a proud Vietnam veteran from the U.S. Marine Corps. George Riley of Brentwood was a Korean War paratrooper with the Army. Salvatore Indiviglia of Franklin Square, an Army veteran of World War II. And I saved our one woman for last, Rosemary McHugh, a lieutenant from World War II who died at 95 years old. Well, that's the Veterans News for today. Let's meet our guests. Frank, how are you?
Hello, Ed.
All right, Howard, welcome.
Thank you,
Welcome
Ed.
aboard. You gentlemen are both involved with the Veterans Courts.
That
Yes,
is
sir.
correct.
Okay. Howard, before we get to the Veterans Court, tell me what you did in the service.
I was with the Army, 1st Air Cavalry Division. Started out in the infantry with 8 Company, 2nd of the 12th. went back to get some medical tests, got injured while I was in the back, and then joined the headquarters company where I spent the rest of my tour.
The unit you were with was what?
1st Cavalry Division.
1st Cavalry
I actually
Division.
just came back from a reunion on Sunday. First ever reunion, 51 years. I decided it was time to go to a reunion. It was very interesting.
Where was
First
the
Cavalry.
reunion? Where was the reunion?
The
located?
reunion was in Charleston, West Virginia, about a 10-hour drive.
1st Cavalry Division was involved in a lot of fighting.
Yeah, well, they were the first in Manila. First, you know, they have a lot of firsts. I had actually wrote a book about my
Okay.
time in Vietnam. Hi, Mom, I'm okay, and other lies from Vietnam. Every veteran knows exactly what that means, because the basis of the book is that although we know that the family worries about the vets, what many people do not understand is that the vets worry about the families worrying about this. Gets a little
Yeah.
it gets a little circular there.
Howard, when did you write the book?
I wrote it in 2009. I made a promise to myself, and basically my brother kept all my letters home, because in Nam we were not allowed to keep the letters. We were told to read them and destroy them. And the reason for that was if the enemy got a hold of it, they would sometimes send your family notices that, you know, that you had died or
Right.
whatever. So my brother kept my letters. I used those letters. And when you write a book, you don't write a book. I wrote 12 books. I wrote it, rewrote it, rewrote it, and every time I thought of new things that I had forgotten before. I corrected most of the errors, but not all of them. Some of them I intentionally left in because they're funny, so I just left them in.
Can you tell us one misconception about the Vietnam War that you want those viewers to know that's not correct from what you have written into your book?
Well, one thing, you know, it's very interesting. My brother-in-law at the time was a teacher, and he had his 3rd grade class write to me. And some of the letters that I covered this in a book, one of them wanted to know if we went home at 5 o'clock. So, you know, that conception, no, there was no going home until the end of your tour. As far as misconceptions, I can't think of any offhand. You know, it was a very tough war, because you never knew who the enemy was. You could walk by a rice paddy and farmer would wave at you, and an hour later he could have a gun in his hand. So you never knew who the enemy was,
Yeah.
and that was a big problem.
Did you see much action?
Only for the first couple of months, but when the thing about Vietnam is there was also no so-called front. The front was wherever the enemy wanted to be. We had bases overrun. I was on LZs, several of them, LZ Evans, LZ Nancy, LZ Jane, or a couple that I can remember.
Yeah.
And we had one of them overrun with something called sappers,
Right.
which were the Vietnam equivalent of the kamikazes. They'd strap themselves with explosives, and they'd run into as many people as they can, Americans, and then blow themselves up and
Right.
try and take as many as they could with them.
When you say you were overrun, the enemy broke through your
They
lines.
broke through the lines,
They
yeah.
ran through your territory,
Yeah, well, they
And then
got part
they-
of the way.
and then they were killed.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so you didn't lose the ground to them.
No, we didn't lose the ground to them.
Okay.
Although, you know, like every war, there's a lot of exchanges. You know, take that hill, you lose that hill. You take that hill, you lose
Right.
that hill. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Howard, I would like to say to you and to you also, welcome home.
Thank you.
All right, and America is sitting out there, they happy that you're here. And because of your service, that's why we are able to, our younger veterans are able to get our benefits.
Yeah.
And we want to let them know we are happy with your service and what you have done.
Thank you
One
very
other
much.
question I would like to ask is, as a Vietnam veteran, you have Vietnam veteran organizations. How are the Vietnam veteran organizations coming with their membership now?
I'm going to have to defer that one to Frank, because although I went to this convention, and you know, one of the things we have in Nassau County is what's called the stand down. The next one is July 10th for you out there who are disadvantaged vets. It's going to be in the Freeport Armory, and people from the various veterans group walk around with the veterans who are disadvantaged, and the last time I actually did the walk around. Now I usually man a table with the DAV. I was with a vet, and I said to him, "Do you remember when we went to Vietnam, the World War II with the old guys?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Look around, it's us now."
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't like to refer to myself as an old guy, but the shoe fits.
Frank, tell us about yourself. What was your experience like in the war?
I just want to answer Sabrina's question real
Sure.
quick. I belong to the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 11, Suffolk County. I am the membership chair, so I could answer that pretty good. We are still growing. There's guys, Vietnam guys, that are retiring now, and the worst thing they could do is sit at home with the TV changer in their hand, because they tend to go back to Vietnam when they were 18 years old. So a lot of them are joining our chapter still, and we're growing. We have presently 520 members. We just had a meeting last Friday. We had 90 Vietnam vets at that meeting.
At the meeting.
At the meeting, yes,
Wow.
sir.
That's wonderful.
That's good.
Yeah, and we don't have a meeting in July. However, in August, we'll probably have over 100 members show
Very
up.
good.
Yeah.
And where do you usually have those meetings for?
In
any-
where?
Yes.
In Center Reach.
At Center Reach.
286 Hawkins Road in Center
Do
Reach.
you have a building?
Yes, we rent from Brookhaven.
Yes.
We do not have a bar because the number of Vietnam vets are recovering alcoholics.
Yes.
So it's not a good
PTSD.
place for us to have a bar.
What would you say to a Vietnam veteran that's sitting in the room, like you said, and they don't want to come out, and they still have the attitude or the animosity that no one cares about them because of how they served in Vietnam?
I would like for them to meet some of the guys that you just described, that have joined our chapter, and now they're very active in helping other veterans. That's our mission, Vets Helping Vets. And I recommend come out, see what we're about, and I'm sure you'll be pleased.
Yeah. Frank, I understand you spent some 36 years in the military.
Yes, sir.
Start off telling me about the first 4 years.
Okay. I grew up in College Point, Queens. I went to aviation high school. And from there, I was very interested in aircraft. Aviation high school is still in existence. It's
Right.
located in Long Island City. From there, I joined Naval Aviation. I went to boot camp, went to a tech school, and I requested out of tech school a reconnaissance heavy attack squadron and a Mediterranean cruise.
You
and-
requested that?
Yes, a dream sheet, we called it.
Yeah.
And I was able to get it. A Med Cruise, Caribbean Cruise, and a heavy attack squadron. And from there, I deployed throughout my 36 years of naval aviation on 7 aircraft carriers. I was in the air wing. We flew the Vigilante aircraft in Vietnam, keeping the troops safe on the ground. That was our mission from the USS Ranger. I wasn't a pilot. I flew a lot in helicopters, fixed wing aircraft, but I didn't fly the aircraft.
You flew a lot in helicopters?
Some, not a lot, in Hueys
Uh-huh.
and CH-46s, which the Marines are very familiar
Sure,
with too.
and the Hueys.
And the CH-53, the Sea Stallion, big 50 guys. It held 50
Right.
guys. Big helicopter. Yeah, so what happened with me, I was active duty for 4 years, 4 months. When I came back from Vietnam, I tried the reserves out of Floyd Bennett Field in Brooklyn, and I just couldn't adjust to a reserve community because I just came back from a combat situation, and it wasn't for me. I stayed out for 7 years. A buddy of mine, I was working for Pan Am at the time, recommended, Frankie, come on back into the reserves, try it. I said, nah, that's all right. He said, they're going to offer you E6 because of your airline experience. I said, all right, I'll try it. I put 30 years in the
Wow.
reserves, thanks to this one gentleman.
Sure.
Yeah.
What did you get out as? What was your rank?
My rank was a lieutenant. I drank the Kool-Aid. I was a senior
Very
chief,
good.
an E8. And then I applied to become a chief warrant officer and was commissioned as a lieutenant.
Very good.
Yeah,
Very
great
good.
ride, great ride.
All right. Can we talk about why you're here today, the Veterans Court?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
First of all, when did the Veterans Court get started in Nassau and Suffolk County?
We both started in 2011. They started a little bit earlier for us, and they also got their act together a lot sooner than we did.
Uh-huh. What does that mean? Why did you get your act together?
Well, we started in February of 2011 officially, but Judge Jack Toomey, combat Vietnam vet, and Steve Israel, congressman, in 2010, they were discussing the Veterans Court. So we got involved in February 2011. From the get-go, having Judge Toomey as the presiding judge, it was a win-win situation. From there, excuse me, we added the mentors. What actually happened, the VFW, the American Legion, the AMVETS, and the Vietnam vets were invited to become mentors.
What's a mentor?
A mentor is a support person, peer support
For
to
the
the veterans,
accused?
the defendants that are going through the court. We were the only chapter that stood up to the challenge. So me being the membership chair, it was very easy to select out of 500 guys who would become mentors. Amongst our mentors, we have 5 retired police officers, 3 from Suffolk, 2 from the city. We have a Gold Star father also. Everybody, I'm not sure if everybody's aware of what a Gold Star parent is, someone who lost a child
Right.
in the war. And we have a Special Forces Army retired captain. I'm retired Navy. We have a female, Grace Mell, retired Navy commander, who was one of the first of 5 women to command a warship. She had 400 Marines on her ship and 300 sailors, so she mentors both male and female. And we've been successful right on through. I've been with it since the start.
All of your mentors belong to the Vietnam Veterans Organization?
Yes, they do. Yes, and that's why it's easy for me. Within the 12 mentors, we have a subcommittee. Myself, Ralph Sancelli, and Clarence Simpson. And we decide who's going to be a mentor. It's not for everybody. It's a commitment.
Really?
And every mentor that we have has been with us for over 5 years. They enjoy it so much, trying to help.
We have, and you explained it to me, that there are 3 courts that we are dealing with. Can you just elaborate on that?
Yes. The court in Central Islip we've been involved with, and we're in our 7th year. We also go to a court in Hampton Bays for misdemeanors. The judge there is Andrea Schiavone, non-veteran, but she understands the issues that these veterans are going through, and they only handle misdemeanors out there. We've been involved with that court. We're in our 4th year of doing that in the Hamptons. So there's less veterans involved in that court, defendants. There's probably the max 6 at a time, whereas in in Central Islip, we're approaching 70 veterans.
70 veterans at one time?
Well, right now we have 45 involved in the court,
Okay.
but with the potential of up to 70.
How many show up one day?
35. We had last court session.
35 veterans
Yes.
were scheduled to appear before a judge
Yes.
during one day.
Yes.
Howard, do you?
No, we just, we're much younger in terms of that. We have probably maybe 40, 50 vets involved, and the calendars vacillate a lot. Yesterday we had 6 cases on.
Right.
We have had, sometimes we have 12, 15, 16, usually not more than that. But we're also a little bit different in that our mentors come from all the veterans groups. And in both courts, regardless of whether it's Suffolk or Nassau, if any veteran needs support, we know everything that's out there, and what we don't know, we can find out because we have the resources. So we make sure, whether it's an issue with homelessness, getting a job, even some of them have had financial issues, we try and help out in whatever way we can.
That could be said about both courts.
Yeah, about both courts.
Yes.
And the Nassau County Court, they do the same thing in terms of finding these veterans and getting the information out to the veterans that these courts are available. Because some of our viewers don't even know that these courts
That
exist.
is one of the big issues. As a matter of fact, on Saturday, I'm going to be receiving an award for service to veterans, and one thing I want to mention when I get that award is about the Veterans Treatment Court, because I think the biggest issue we have is not enough people know about it, not enough veterans know about
That's a
it,
fact.
and that's why I'm hoping that your viewers will get the word out. Also, we just started looking into getting into the jail, hopefully getting out also, but getting into the jail. Ken Rosenblum, who is the coordinator, started. He was a lawyer. He's a lawyer. He was with Touro College. He was a professor,
Yes.
and he started the veterans group, the veterans defense group there, free service for veterans. And since he's been involved, it's probably just about a year now, maybe a little bit less. Everything is just moving forward so quickly. We're trying to do catch up. As a matter of fact, Frank and his crew came to visit us last week. It was great.
Oh, good.
A lot of our guys have visited Suffolk. I'm not one of them, but I just spoke to Ken yesterday about setting up another date. I was just talking to Frank about it, so that I can get to see the other side of the coin. I think this is a wonderful opportunity for any veteran who has a treatment-related offense.
Right. Can you tell me how this actually works? What does a mentor actually do with an accused?
Okay.
Does he grab him, take him off to the side and talk to him?
Well, sometimes we do that, but what we do is we try and stay in contact with them, phone calls, personal visits, whatever. Since Ken's been involved, we now have what Suffolk has had for a while, where we get assigned to a vet, and so I have about 5 or 6 participants now. We call the veterans defendants of the participant. I don't know why we don't like the word mentee. They don't like the word mentee, so we call them participants. And I stay in touch with them. Do you need anything? After when they speak to the judge, now we have a great judge. He's not a veteran, but he's really very conscientious and very, very respectful of veterans. And the last judge we had was also that way, but the one before that was not. And it's a dramatic difference in the courtroom when you see somebody who's there in a robe out to help you and assist. So it's a great program, and I'm hoping more people will
They
get
have,
involved in it.
the mentoring program have 10 components that they have to tackle. And the 10 components that they tackle is the individual on his own needs. Because each soldier that come through, right, each veteran that come through have his own problem.
Yes.
And having that mentor zoom in on that one problem, because one lawyer could have probably about 100 cases. Now you have that one mentor saying, oh, what we're going to do, step 1, 2, and 3. So those 10 components, that's what the mentor is working on. And they troubleshooting all of that. And preparing them for when they come out, they will have those resources available for them so they won't drop and fall back into the system again. Yeah. We have over 1 million veterans in the system right now that's in jail. 1 out of 8 veterans are in the jail system. 1 veteran to 8 fellow inmates are in jail right now. That all could have been avoided if this program was available, and if this program continued to get out and people recognize it and refer them to the this type of organization right now. And that being said, Abraham Lincoln said, "To care for him who shall have borne the battle." Abraham Lincoln, March the 4th, 1865, said, we must take care of our veterans. And if our veterans have served for us to have our freedom, then when they come back and they're discharged from the military, when they're coming back, they're not having a parade. They're coming back 1, maybe 3, or alone. And some of them are coming back and they don't have their families. When they come back now, they have these organizations that are waiting here and giving them all the needs that they want. So the mentor already know those organizations, and they have the training, and they can provide that for the veteran. So if there's a veteran out there that needs the service, hiding out because they're afraid to go to jail or want to plead to go to jail for 4 or 5 years, this program could stop them probably
Correct.
and help them and troubleshoot and help them guide them in the right direction.
Case by case basis. If
That's
I
right.
may add to that, what we were able to do, every court session we tried to invite an elected official, because a lot of the elected officials aren't even aware how Veterans Court works, or so to inform them. This one court session 2 years ago this month, we invited Bill Lindsay, a legislator from Suffolk County. Great guy. He sat down with us in the cafeteria. That's where we meet. And he goes, "How can I help you, gentlemen?" So a number of us said, "How about having a veterans wing in Yaphank Jail?" He said, "Yeah, good idea. Anything else?" And we bounced around some ideas. Well, 3 days later, he gave me a call. Myself, Ron Pacquiana, Ralph Zancelli, and Clarence Simpson met with him to discuss a veterans wing in Yaphank Jail. Several days after that, Sheriff DeMarco contacted us. He wanted to talk about a veterans wing. A month later, we had a veterans wing in Yaphank Jail.
Wow.
That's
Now,
wonderful.
what better than having veterans serving together in jail and looking out for each other? One of the older veterans, we go to the jails every month too, the same group of guys. One veteran, an older vet, raised his hand. We asked him, "Do you have anything you want to say?" He said, "See that younger veteran sitting in the front? He doesn't belong in jail. He's graduating from Veterans Court the end of July. We got him out of jail into Veterans Court." So it's working so well. It's working so well.
I want to commend you, and like I expressed to you before, with our post that we have in Brentwood, the VFW, we go out into the wilderness and we pull the veterans out from the trenches. We try to clean them up and bring them back into the civilian world. If they don't want to, we take them back. We got a hold of one veteran, and he was supposed to go to jail. And what I did was I took him through the system. I took him through Beacon House. And I was strongly 100% knew that he's not jail material. And then we got him into the hospital at the Northport VA. And then we knew Tooney from the Veterans Court. We got a hold of the lawyer. We talked to them. We got him into the Veterans Court. What is it called? The Veterans Court,
Veterans Treatment Court.
right? Treatment
Well,
Court.
Veterans Court is fine.
And
Yes.
that was approximately 2 years ago. Today, he's back with his family.
Oh, good.
And he's working. He has a job at the Northport, a real job. He's clean. He's not drinking, and he's a citizen to the United States, paying taxes. And because of what you're doing, both of you, and Suffolk County and Norfolk County, how we take care of veterans, we are really having them knowing that you're coming back. If the military didn't do what they had to do, we're here to do it.
Very well put.
So thank you for what
You're
you're
very
doing.
welcome. It's an honor and a privilege to be.
Yes. The question I have now is, if they're in the wing and they go through that process, how long do they have to stay there?
In jail?
Yes.
The longest they stay normally in Yaphank is 1 year.
Yeah. Okay.
But lately we've been getting some of them out into Veterans Court.
And what is your percentage rate?
We got to wrap it up. Loretta, Pat, come on the screen.
What is
Anybody
your
in the
percentage
back
rate
room want to come out?
Of what?
of returning veterans to the
Come on,
system?
Pat. No
Going
hiding.
back into the system.
Very, very low.
Very, very low.
Maybe
Okay.
1%.
1%.
Pat, you're not going to come on the screen. Okay. Remember July 10th to stand down in Nassau County. Where is it?
Freeport Armory,
Freeport Armory, 10 o'clock
10 o'clock.
on July 10th.
Right.
Stop by. Okay. So, how we doing?
Doing great.
Okay.
And once again, thank you for your service.
Yes.
Thank you, dear.
Thank
Same.
you. Okay. Did you get your face in the screen?